So in this case, you have a Queen of Pentacles who's looking towards the King of Cups, who is not looking in her direction. Finally, the Eight of Cups with someone walking away. Oh, I sort of like gave you the narrative away, but the fun thing about tarot, it's slightly more advanced, is that the really good tarot cards have a form of directionality. So we always read from left to right. But you also notice, like I said, the Queen is looking to the right, and the King is also looking kind of like to the right or towards a distance. But in this way, it sort of gives me a feel that the Queen of Pentacles is seeking the King of Cups. So these two may be personas of embodied, or it could be specific people in your life, or it could represent you as well. And Eight of Cups represents like a transition, sort of like a retreat, or walking away from, in this specific context, what life throws at you.
Walking away from...
Does that make sense? It's kind of like just... Well, tell me how you feel about this picture. Let's start with Eight of Cups. I find that's the easiest because persona cards are more advanced in terms of the interpretation. So let's start with Eight of Cups. When you look at this picture, how do you feel about it? What do you see?
It sort of feels lonely. Okay. But it's like there's a clear sky, so it should be like you can see where you're going, but he's just looking down. Mm-hmm. And he's just there, like as if he's marching. Like, yes, he's like marching away, so it sort of feels like lonely. Mm-hmm. But again, the sky is clear, and it's like saying you cannot, you know, you cannot fail. There's enough light, you know. Mm-hmm. So I think it's sort of lonely, but at the same time, it's just clear.
Yeah.
And I think it's just go.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so as you mentioned, you feel that there's a sense of clarity. And it's also like, once again, for my interpretation would be specific to a life context, is that while you still have the 8 cups of burdens of life, but you choose to acknowledge that even though you have them, you choose to stare at what else is out there for you. Once again, it could represent that you want to retreat or walk away from these burdens, or it could just mean that you're not letting these things tie you down from seeing the bigger picture of what can be or should be or whatnot. So it shows that you're seeking something. So because you have the Queen of Pentacles, and this is in the life aspect, it could represent either career or motherhood. Specifically because Queen is, the mother, generally speaking, in terms of like royal family. And Pentacles could represent finances, physical, material things. Then the King of Cups is more of like, it really depends on what this represents, whether if it's a person in your life context in this deck, or it's a situation. So I've explained to you the Queen of Pentacles already. So I think the easiest way to explain it would be that if it's a person, it could be some sort of a fatherly figure or someone who is emotionally mature. It could represent yourself, or it could represent someone else in your life. It could be someone in your family, it could be someone from work, or it could be someone you fancy. It's not overly clear at the moment unless you have something to add that will bring more clarity to it.
No, right now I can't.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to elaborate any more on any of these?
Well,
or you get any feeling from any certain cards?
No, it's just when you said like she represents like either like a motherly, or it's a weird feeling, but I think we're good for now. Okay.
So I'll put this aside, or you could pull it towards you and just keep it with you. Yeah, that'll be like easier. So we can look at them later.
Sure.
So the second one would be career, right?
Work, love, yes.
Okay, work. So for work, you have Hierophant. So the general idea behind Hierophant is about structure, order. It can also represent religion, the more obvious representation. But most of the time it represents like society and how society functions, what they expect of us, and how we feel about those expectations. The Ten of Cups show that you have fulfillment in the job or in a future job that you're considering taking, but it would involve a change on your part. So some possibilities, if I just throw them out there, would be maybe for this new job that you have to travel far away. Maybe you have to work in the middle of the night. Maybe it doesn't pay as much. So there has to be some sort of, I won't say sacrifice, but it's some sort of change that you have to adapt to. But it will allow you to be happy. And I'm not sure if it's related to the religion aspect or something about society's expectation. It really depends on like it needs a bit more context. So at this point, do you have any questions about any of the cards, or do you want to shed more light into why do you think these cards appeared in your career or
I have a vague idea why. I don't know if you want to, do I have to say something else for you to understand it more, or like if I say something, will it change your perspective on it?
You don't have to, but I mean, the more you hold back, the more the tarot holds back as well. Once again, I read tarot intuitively, but also using a scientific method. So it's not like just something I make up on the spot. Like there is a process to it. And like at the start of the video, I mentioned, whatever you give, you get it back. So if you give like nothing, it's quite hard to get anything back from that, right? Because it wouldn't feel that you have the commitment into it. You don't have to tell me everything, so I'm just repeating everything to you, but at least it would help open up things that you may not see.
If I throw in, for example, nurse and army.
Nurse and army? Okay. That might be why the death is involved. So in the Ten of Cups will represent your passion into this job. And the Hierophant would be because it involves law and structure. So it means that maybe you have to go overseas for this.
That came when I saw the card.
Yeah, you see? So when you provide a bit more context to me, it sort of like sheds more light into it. So that's all it is. Like I'm not just gonna blindly like read into things. But if there's anything that you want more detail on, what I also like to do sometimes, or quite often actually, is take out a nerd card. So sometimes I don't know what it means, you don't know what it means, so we can ask on addition. So let's say we want more details on death, or more details on what happiness, or like more details on Hierophant. But for now, if you're satisfied with this, we can move on. Or if you really want to focus on something.
I just want to focus a little bit more on that, because I'm wondering.
On death?
Yes, because I'm wondering if when you spoke about motherly, and that there's change, and then you used earlier the word sacrifice.
I don't like using sacrifice. I try to be really neutral when I do tarot reading.
Me, the first word that came into my thought was
because when we say sacrifice, people think, oh no, you know, it's not really sacrifice. It's
just you have to give up something in order to be able to achieve something else.
Yeah, it's basically like, you know, I have to give you this cup of coffee. Well, it is very unprofessional right now. I have to give you this cup of coffee to get more coffee, right? Because you're gonna give me more coffee if I give you this cup. You know, it's really dumb, but
no,
sorry, it's cheesiness part of whatnot.
But it's true.
So yeah, at the moment though, I do not feel like there's a strong connection. But you personally feel there's a connection between death and the mother. I mean,
he's coming over here. Oh, look over there. Quick. Coffee, please. Oh no, she ran away. Coffee has arrived.